Okay, guys, let's do this. Will the rep actually scan on StockX? Zoom in a little bit. Let's get to the UPC barcode scanner here. Here we go. Okay, guys, welcome back. We are at it again. Hopefully you guys checked out my previous video where I compared the SB4, those navies that'll be releasing, I think, within the next week or two from some type of sneakers exclusive access or whatnot, whatever the rumors are. But here we are with the anticipated, probably going to be sneaker of the year, in my personal opinion. Not because I think the shoe was amazing, but just because this shoe release was like no other. We have the Brick by Bricks by Nigel Sylvester, Nike collaboration, obviously. We're going to obviously, as usual, dig into details and so forth. I'm going to be more careful, guys, to let you know, rep from the real, stuff like that. As far as when I'm kind of zigzagging in between the shoes here, because I don't want you guys to get confused, as in my last video that was brought up, and I actually did misspeak on about 30 seconds of the video where I called the retail the rep. Let you know how good this stuff is, right? Let you know how easy it is to scam somebody, right? So anyway, we're going to get to this. What I wanted to start off with, I know I usually start off with the boxes, which we pretty much will. I at least, before we start dissecting things into pieces here, I at least wanted to officially start off with the presentation, right? So here on the authentic, of course, which is here on the right. Let me get this out real quick. As you can see, we got the blue Velcro strip. We got the sleeves here, the plastic sleeves. And of course, the internal translucent tissue paper and the extra laces, right? And I just wanted to compare it real quick to the replication here to the left. So obviously, we already know the boxers are typically smaller. These are both a size 12, by the way. They're smaller for the larger sizes. And here we go. And as you can see, it's nearly identical, guys. You got the Velcro strip. You got the plastic sleeves, and then you got the internal translucent tissue paper, and of course the extra laces. This is scary stuff, guys. This is why I do these videos. Previous video, I got hit up. Someone actually ended up, in all honesty, getting scammed. They sent me photos and everything, and no doubt turned out to be a rep. So this stuff happens for real, guys, okay? But let's keep it moving. I just wanted to at least show you the presentation from the rep to the authentic here, okay? Just so you guys see and know what's up. This stuff is real out here in these streets. Best believe. Imagine this being a size 8 or a size 9. How you going to tell, right? All I could say is if the price is too good to be true, it usually is. So let's keep it moving. We're going to start with the boxes, the internals, then we're going to get to the shoes and so forth and take it from there. Let's get it. Now that we're back, let's get to it. We're going to compare the lids, the accessories, and so forth, okay? So let's take the rep lid here first off. It says Bike Air, embossed there, and then air in the rear. Here, obviously, it says Bike Air, as it does here. Texture feels just about the same. A little bit more textured on the authentic, but pretty much 90% there, or 99% there, however you want to look at it. Authentic. See Bike Air on the rear, as it shows as well on the rep, except the Bike Air is obviously bigger. Again, the sizing of the replicated box is smaller, like I said. Even for larger sizes, it's typically smaller. Save on shipping, logistics, and so forth. We already know what time it is with that. So the lids, there's a comparison on those. Let's get that smaller one in there, save some space here. Okay, let's look at the Velcro strips. Blue, let's keep it real, nearly identical. The authentic is a hair darker. Velcro material, same thing. In all fairness, it is. Let's see here. Here's the additional laces. Authentic to the right, rep to the left. And all right, let's have a look. So this time around, let me fix this authentic here. Okay, so we got a stronger embossment on the actual rep to the left versus the authentic to the right. Boxes are nearly identical in size, but the authentic here looks a hair bigger. Looking at the rear, not much of an embossment on the rear here. Let me see something. Nope, not much. There's actually no Jumpman. How about that? Here, they got a Jumpman, move to 0. Wait. That's on me, y'all. See, I'm doing this on the fly with y'all. I'm not looking at these, okay? My bad on that. I knew something was off. I'm like, wait. There we go. All right, so here we go. There we go. Move to 0. Jumpman, again, not as embossed as the replication. However, the actual, as you can see, the embossment here, Nike's journey towards a zero, what's that? Carbon and zero waste future, right? That's what it says here. And here it does, but it's smaller text and not as clear or legible. I'll just show them there together, as you can see. Again, the embossment is stronger, but not as legible or clear as the text on the print job of the laces. Let's move on. Let's see here. Here's the plastic bag with the YDM sticker there. On the authentic here, I want to see, is it? Okay, they did it like that. All right, cool. So it's got the YDM with the ridges going around it here. Let's look at the rep. YDM, and it does have ridges going around it. It's a little bit lighter, but it has it. So they're getting better and better. Also, here's the thing. Here's the thing. See it? Basically see YCM. Here they got the C touching the M. Looks like YDM. It shouldn't be touching. So there you go. It should not be touching the letter M. Here, it's not touching on the authentic to the right. Here, it's touching on the rep. There you go. Stick with me, guys. I'm doing this on the fly with y'all. I want to keep it more interesting to show you I'm no know-it-all. I don't know everything. I may still know stuff, but if there's a time for me to enlighten somebody, I will. And if there's a time for them to enlighten me, go for it. Here's the internal tissue paper. Nearly identical. A little bit more of a frost fog on the rep. More translucent on the authentic. All right, let's see here. Let's get that out the way. So we got go. And here we got go. So pretty close. Let's look at the rear. So, okay, so we got 2 different colors here for the rear. As you can see, this is more that reddish brick colorway. Here, not so much. And we do have some marketing logos here. It's very hard to see even on the authentic, so I don't think there's going to be a need to dig too deep on that. Yeah, see there, here, you see, okay, there we go. It says Nike and all the trademarks. Here, Nike, all the trademarks. So it's going to be really difficult to determine the differences of the text on here and the quality. So we're going to leave that alone for right now because it's really tough. But the color, way off. And when I say way off, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's, oh my God. I'm just saying when you compare and contrast it to this, it's a different color. Okay? Let's keep it moving. Okay, so here's the authentic box label. As you can see, Air Jordan 4 Retro OG SP for special project. Firewood orange. There we go. I keep looking at it as it's a red color, but it's a firewood orange. I get it. You can obviously see that by looking at the shoe where the orange hints are on the upper and so forth. But again, authentic, clean label, no question, perfected. So let's go ahead now and have a look at the rep. Here is the replication, Air Jordan 4 Retro OGSP. They got the UPC or barcode number here correct. We'll check later to see if it scans on StockX. Firewood orange, Sail Cinnabar, and all that other stuff down low. It matches. Only slight difference I can see. The tag is just a little bit of a smaller label there. Made in China. Again, it's a little bit more glossy as well on the actual rep. And we'll leave it at that. Pretty much replicated to the T, guys. Scary stuff. Okay, guys, let's do this. Will the rep actually scan on StockX? Zoom in a little bit. Let's get to the UPC barcode scanner here. Here we go. And it did. Scary, scary, guys. Okay, guys, so here we are with the shoes now. You notice the suede brush here in the middle. We're going to get to that in a second. Here's the authentic to the right and the rep to the left. You can clearly see here. Well, before we get to that, one thing I thought that was going to be a very strong challenge for them to replicate these shoes was the color. As you can see, the color is really, really, really close. Now, I'm looking at them in person rather than looking at them in camera. In person, they're close. Now, almost near identical. Now, you obviously can see the suede here is very transitional, right? Here, it's transitional as well. Not as strong. I mean, it's responding. You can see it. It's there. Now, if you're looking for something to that level, here's where it gets scary, guys, okay? Now, a scammer that's trying to sell these as authentic, all they got to do is take this suede brush and just brush into here, right? If you're looking to get, if you're looking to get a little bit more out of the suede, right? And on this side, this is all rubber. This side here, you got some stronger bristles, and you want to be careful with that sometimes. But here, this is supposed to just allow certain things to pop. Now, you can also spray mink oil on it and stuff like that. And you can do this to your authentic pairs if you want them to pop even more. But you see that now? You see that? It's even stronger. So trust me, a lot of these scammers got answers to everything. Okay? And as you can see, it's not exactly the same as that, but it's a lot closer now. It's a lot closer now. So we want to be careful out there. And again, that was not any type of assistance to help anybody scam somebody. That was just to show you what a $4 or $5 Amazon suede brush does that they can do to a counterfeit pair to make it get closer to that authentic, where by itself, you would believe that's the authentic. Trust and believe. So let's get to it. Authentic on the right. Again, rep on the left. Here is the left shoe, which is the authentic. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. Here's the left shoe, which is authentic. This is authentic. In my right hand, we have the authentic. I want to be clear. In the left hand, we have the rep. Let's get to it. Toe boxes, nearly identical. The authentic to the right is sloped a bit further. Obviously, the toe is a little bit different. It's a lot more sleeker, right? It's not as oval per se, right? That's how it slopes up. So you guys can clearly see that. You see the Nike swooshes here. Ironically, the Nike swoosh on the rep here is bigger than the Nike swoosh here on the authentic. The stitching, let's get to the stitching immediately. A lot of people, oh, the stitching. No, so what? That's okay. Wear it, rock it, do your thing. This is to help those authenticate, ensure they don't get a pair that they don't want to pay $500 for and end up getting a rep. You can see the difference in the stitching. You see how much bigger the stitching here and spread out it is? Look here under the wing versus this one. See, it's smaller, a little further connected versus here, wider, bigger. So some parts of this shoe is underscaled and overscaled. Also, the texture on the mud guards here. I ain't gonna front. It's identical as far as the texture goes. It feels the same. It nearly looks the same. A little bit over textured on the rep here to the left in comparison to this retail I have here. And again, you can see the differences, the suede, how much more transitional it is on the authentic versus the rep here, where there's a transition, just not as much. See the wings, colors are nearly identical, a little bit lighter on the rep here. Caging's a little big. See the squares, the little squares here? We call this, just to help those out, this is the caging we refer to. This is caging here, okay? So you see how big the squares are here versus here on this size 12? They're smaller here. They're overscaled here. Looking at the tongue, shape's a little bit different. It's a little bit bigger on the rep here to the left. It is. Versus the authentic here on the right. Tag is a little bit darker. Tag's lighter on the rep. And the color's lighter on the rep. Let's see here. And again, back to the caging. Again, it may look nearly identical on camera, but in your hands, smaller caging on the authentic, larger caging squares on the rep. Can you see there's a difference in the toe box shape as well? See how this is bigger? See how it's bigger here? Here, a bit more condensed. As I say, torpedo toe box. Yep. Now, going to flip these over. Remember, this is the authentic. This is the rep. So here's the authentic outsole. Here's the rep outsole. Nearly identical. A little bit of a darker red on the Nike and the swoosh. Colors pretty much match on the outsole. Okay. Here we go. Typical, authentic. You see the air unit. It's a little bit longer and bigger than the rep. Underscaled. That's what I mean. Underscaled. Some parts of this rep on the to your left is going to be underscaled and overscaled at the same time. Let me see how many posts in the air unit. 3 in the authentic. And here, 3 in the rep. Looking at the sock liner, we have like a little glossy sheen over the sock liner here. Here, not so much. Also, more padding, bigger sock liner, overscaled in the rep versus the authentic. And now, this is where people get confused sometimes, so I'm going to be careful. I'm going to take the authentic. I'm going to put it in my left hand now, Bike Air. I'm going to take the rep, put it in my right hand now, Bike Air. So nearly identical. Nearly identical. There's a bit of a difference in the construction of the shoe here. As we can see, the Bike Airs, they pretty much nearly look identical, except the heel is a little bit curved further out. So the Bike Air here, this has a different, like a different look to it versus the Bike Air here, which is a little bit more of a flat heel. Let's see, we got a little bit of a higher cut here of the suede. Stitching color matches here. Someone on Instagram told me they couldn't get the stitching color right. At this moment, on this spot of the shoe, it's right. They did match the actual stitch color. So let's put the rep back over there and the authentic back over here. Not bad at all. See that on the rep, the stitching here, how much like bigger overscaled it is versus the authentic there. Woo! That was a doozy. So one thing I did want to say too, and again, I know it sounds petty. A lot of people are like, bro, you tripping. I know it sounds petty. The smell matters. Trust me. Now the smell on the rep, these are fresh off the factory line. Yeah, they got a strong, it's almost sweet, but a strong, sweet smell. Industrial, though, on the Nike. It's your typical Nike scent that you're used to if you typically sniff the shoes. I know I heard it's like some type of spray they put in it, but it's not as potent of a scent. So now we're going to take this authentic shoe here, which is the right shoe. I'm going to put it in my left hand. Authentic left hand. and rep right hand now. We're switching gears, guys. So this is why it pays to watch the whole video, so y'all don't get caught up. So rep authentic on the left, rep on the right. You see the differences in the toe box shape. We don't have to dig too deep. We're going to see a lot of the same things we saw on the other shoes we went over. So bigger swoosh on the rep, smaller swoosh on the authentic. Same thing with the caging. Bigger cut squares here on the rep versus the authentic here. Again, bigger stitching. Look at that, just night and day. That versus this. You see how it's placed, overscaled, and so forth. Again, a little bit of minor color tone differences, a little lighter wing here. Waffles look to be the same. When I refer to waffles, I'm referring to these guys. These right here. Here we go. Let's see. And just like the other pair, a little bit of a bigger air unit, 3 posts. Smaller air unit, 3 posts, and the rep to the right. Again, we got a bigger tongue on the rep here to the right. Smaller tongue on the authentic to the left. Got a little bit of a darker tone here on the tag. Lighter tone here on the rep. Caging's bigger on the rep versus the authentic. Again, suede. The actual suede, obviously, is much more transitional on the authentic. Rep is definitely transitional, just not super crazy strong like the authentic. Now, we're going to flip. So I need y'all to chill. Here's the rep. I'm going to flip it to my left hand. Here's the authentic to the right. Looking at the bike airs again, nearly identical. Nearly identical. They actually, yeah, the on the rep here to the left, the suede cut's a little bit higher. Not drastically, but it just is. And again, a little bit difference in the bike air. As we can see here, it looks like the bike air is bigger here versus a little bit, a hair smaller. Again, we're looking at this under 1080p at 60 hertz camera lens, guys. So just remember that. So we're seeing a lot more on a camera than we're going to see in person, okay? Certain details. But that's why there's you can tell there's a little bit of a difference in the bike air and the authentic versus the rep because the heel's curved out a lot more on the rep. And finale, outsoles match. Nike Air here. So on the authentic, they're basically the same color. Authentic looks to be a little bit more of a darker red, but basically same color. And we'll leave it at that, guys. Let's go ahead and we're going to get to the black light test and keep it moving. Something else I wanted to share before I forget. The laces. Here's the rep. Here's the authentic. They're close, but they're actually a little bit bigger on the authentic. They're like, as you could see, the lacing here on the authentic here, it's just a bit, it's a little bit smaller, even the design pattern versus how much larger the design pattern is on the actual authentic. But that's one thing I wanted to call out that I typically don't say a lot of times, but the laces are a bit larger on the actual replications versus the authentics. Let's get back to it. All right, guys, here we are. Let's get going with the black light test. As we can see here, I'm not seeing any guidelines on this retail pair whatsoever. I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary. I do see like a little orangish color above, as you could see there, above the mudguard. I don't know if that's like a glue residue or some type of cleaning residue or whatnot. Pretty crazy. Nope, no watermarks under the outsole. Let's have a look at the other retail pair here. Again, notice how the reflection of that midsole comes off as like almost like an orange color. Here we go on this shoe. Not much of that red color, but just some other dye. Whatever this is here. There's some watermarks next to the Nike swoosh. If you're, oh, there you go, you should be able to see that. Think of the watermarks as liver spots on an old person. Hate to call that out, but that's how I kind of look at those. So nothing else much going on there. All right, let's have a look at the rep pair. I'm not seeing any guidelines at the moment, or stitch lines, however you guys want to refer to them, or ghost stitching. Here we go. There's that red right here above the midsole. Whatever that red is, I don't know if, again, if that's like glue or some type of residue. And bike air. Again, the midsole does reflect as that like orange color. Orange just reflects back to the black light here. Nothing much going on. And here we go. Parts of the moment of truth. Nope, no guidelines behind the pull tab. So definitely a scammable pair. And guys, when I say scammable pair, that doesn't mean, hey, go scam somebody. That means this is a pair that you're probably going to see somebody out there have. And in all honesty, they can pretty much say, hey, they're trying to let go of a size 12 for $325, $350. If the price is too good to be true, guys, it usually is. There's something going on. And here, nope, no guidelines. Nothing in the inside either of the sock liner. So that's it. Let's check the outsole. No watermarks on the outsole. Like I said, I think a watermark says liver spots on a OG's face, bro. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, so here we are with the insoles. We got the authentic to the right, rep to the left. We're going to keep that system going. And wow, super, super close here. I'm looking at them in person. Okay. Again, a little bit of a darker red on the authentic, a little bit of a lighter red on the rep. We got the size 12 size tags. Nothing here. Let's have a look at the rear. Okay, we got a matte black dream cell. And we got a glossy dream cell. Even though they're close, but this one technically is glossier. I've noticed they've been using a lot more matte black dream cells on the replications here. Again, a little bit of a different text there, as you can see, versus it's just cleaner here in the authentic. Here it's just a little bit more messy, not as clear. Don't have to spend hours on it. They do, in all fairness, they do feel the same. Yeah. And it looks like what they're doing to try to make it glossy, they're wiping some type of a gloss on it. Here you don't get that. It's just textured with a gloss cut. Here you see how much glossier it is here, but I could feel it's something there, a solution they're putting on it. So there we have it when it comes to that. Now we'll go ahead and get into the lasting boards, tags, and pretty much call it a day from there, y'all. Okay, guys, let's get to it. So comparing the authentic versus the rep inside tag here. Now, they got a lot of the information correct on the rep, except the border going around the tag is too thick on the rep, and also they got the incorrect tag dates on them. UPC is correct, however, below the Chinese sizing, that number down there, if you can make it out, is actually different from the authentic. So that's something they get wrong every single time. I've never seen that match with an actual rep. Also, you see some of that coloring got on the tag there on the authentic, which is probably a telltale sign as well to help you confirm. Now, looking at the lasting boards, you can see here right off the bat, the rep, which is typical, they have the numbers, measurements and numbers there on the lasting board versus the authentic this time around doesn't have it. And the stitching is a lot tighter and closer on the authentic there versus the replication to the right, which typically that's a standard type of stitching I've noticed on a lot of reps is just, it's just a little bit more spread out. Sometimes the actual stitching itself is a little bit thinner than thicker than the authentic. Let's go. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with your boy. This review took a little bit of time, but I really just wanted to be sure that, you guys saw everything as best as possible and, not get scammed out there. Any questions, business inquiries, send me an email. It's actually in the description of my YouTube video if you guys want to contact me for anything. And we're going to leave it at that. Thanks for hanging out with your boy. And be sure to hit that like button and subscribe on for more content. We out.